Yo, what's up guys? We're back with another video and it's just me alone today, and I'm here to discuss a topic that is my opinion only, not the other Stomp members, so just take that into account. I want to talk about AEW Collision versus AEW Dynamite. And I know people don't really want to play the versus game comparing the one show to the other show, but I think it has to be done at certain points. And there's a clear difference between Collision and Dynamite. That's why the judgment can be made between the two shows at the end of the day. Now, I want to talk about Collision a bit because we all know what AEW Dynamite is at the end of the day. We've seen it for the last 3-4 years now. But Collision is 4 weeks in. It's 4 weeks deep. It's still in its infancy stage, in its lifetime. I mean, we still got hopefully, a long way to go with Collision. But let me just talk about the clear differences that I can see right now with AEW Collision in comparison to that of Dynamite. I think they're definitely running with the old school Saturday night feel. You know, Saturday nights are right for fighting. That whole vibe of it's just feeling like, I wouldn't even say 80s wrestling. Yeah, let's go 80s wrestling. Let's say it's feeling something along the lines of a modern style version of the 80s wrestling. We got the cool little promos in the beginning that really hype you up for the nights. It feels like you're getting ready for what's to come. I really like that. We got the style of matches, which is a point that we really need to talk about, because the style of matches are so different. And I know that he's down to who is on the roster. I know that he's down to, we don't really have the guys that were big on the indies prior to AEW on this roster, or this soft split. We know it's kind of more of a hard split. I mean, we got Andrade, okay, obviously he was big in Mexico. We got CM Punk, obviously a big topic and a big point of contention, because CM Punk is CM Punk. We know what's happened. We know what happened with the Elites. We know all of that. And I think he's a big factor to this. But let me carry on going. We've got FTR, very much old school style wrestling tag team. We've got Jay White and Juice Robinson, who are, I think, thriving in Collision. Absolutely thriving, doing their best work since coming to America, both of them. I feel like they're in the spotlight a lot more, which I think is important. Because Jay White is Jay White at the end of the day. Former leader of the Bullet Club, former IWGP champion. There's a lot to admire and a lot to take into account when looking at Jay White. We've got the House of Black, which I guess is very different to those guys, but we haven't seen Malachi Black yet. We've got Miro, very much a slower style. Obviously, he's a bigger guy. You know how it works, guys. We got different wrestlers. We're on Dynamite. We've got Sammy Guevara. We've got the Elite. We've got... There's so many names that are just over the top. We've got the Lucha Brothers, over the top guys. Gonna show you all the big moves. Gonna show you all the big spots. Which is fine. Perfectly fine. Some people enjoy that. I enjoy it on occasions. I enjoy it when it's done right. I don't enjoy seeing 5 matches in a row like that. Whereas on Collision, we are not really getting that. We are getting a totally different feel to AEW. And it's not even the WWE feel. It's different to the WWE feel, which I really like. They're not trying to have one show do this and one show try to copy the style that is apparently working, which is the WWE style. No, they're trying to go back to something that is a little bit more to the basics, but showcasing all of their talent. I want to talk about CM Punk here, because I think it's important. CM Punk, obviously, it's kind of split down the middle. You either hate him or you love him. I used to be a big fan of Punk, but his pettiness got in the way. And I was like, okay, I'm done with Punk. Punk can do his thing, I'm not really going to care. Of course, I was lying to myself because Punk came back and I cared. Punk makes you care. Punk has star power attached to him. When he walks into that ring, when he walks into the arena, you can just feel there's something. He's going to say something. He's going to captivate you. Whether that's on the mic, even in the ring, there's just something about him. He's not the greatest in the ring anymore, but you just know he's going to tell a damn good story. We saw that in the Samoa Joe match. Yes, that was probably the worst of the 3 matches they had, but I told the story, and I can get it's not over. We know it's not over. They're gonna have more matches to come after the Owen Hart Cup final. We think back to I just think he's in a better place than where he was on Dynamite. I don't know why. It just feels like it's his show now. It's his show. You're getting paid the big bucks, so you should be able to hold a brand by yourself. Whereas on Dynamite, it was his show, but it was also John Moxley's show, but it was also Kenny Omega's show, but it was also MJF's show. And it just felt like nobody was really standing out. Now on Collision, it's his show. He's the main man. He's building stars. He's getting paid to work, so he better damn well work. And I think it's benefiting everybody in that case. And that includes the likes of Ricky Starks, who CM Punk is apparently really eager to work with and really eager to get out there into the main event picture and the grand picture of AEW. We've got Jay White and Juice Robinson. CM Punk is really eager to work with him, as we've seen. And I just feel he's really going to help certain people on the brand. I know it's all favoritism, but I don't really want to discuss all of that. I know he's picking his favorites. The elites are picking their favorites. I don't want to talk about that now. I want to talk about AEW Collision versus Dynamite. When I look at... here's the perfect example of what Collision does for a person versus what Dynamite. Juice Robinson and Jay White. On Dynamite, people were saying, what are they doing with him? They are not treating Jay White correctly. He's not being booked correctly. He's bigger than this. Why is he facing Commander and... I think it was Commander in random matches in his first match and looking like a dumbass? Why? And we couldn't get the answer to that. But I think I know the answer. They try to pack too much into Dynamite. Way too much content trying to get packed into Dynamite. We need to showcase this guy. We need to showcase that guy. We need to showcase this guy. Let's just put them in a match together that makes no sense. And then that match ends up not making sense in the long run as well as in the moment. But now in Collision, Jay White is the top heel in Collision with Juice Robinson. They are the top heels other than Samoa Joe probably in Collision, which is a huge point into the difference between the two shows. I want to talk about, this is going to be a big contentious topic to some people, and I know I got called a Jim Cornette wannabe, which I think was a bit outrageous and a violation, Langa. You know that was outrageous. But the match between Bullet Club Gold and FTR this week on Collision was absolutely brilliant. Old school wrestling. It was... They were getting pops for shoulder tackles. They were getting pops for headlocks. They were getting pops for drop kicks. Basic moves. So when they did pull out the big moves, which they actually didn't even need to in this match, and they really didn't, it got an even bigger pop. But when the moments came, it got big pops. Like the pin saving attempts when someone saved someone from being pinned, or whatever the case is. It really... just made those moments feel so much bigger, so much better. And that's what wrestling's about, man. You don't need to give it all in your first match. Now next week they got a 2 out of 3 falls match. So what does that mean? They can pull out the stops for that match. Simple. Now the first match built to the second match, and the second match was even better. You don't need 10 Canadian destroyers and 10,000 super kicks in a match. And this is not just a target at Dynamite. It's also a target at WWE. Some matches have too many super kicks, too many this, too many that. Some matches have too much storytelling that it takes you away from the wrestling, which is another topic I want to get into. But I'll save that for a little bit later down the line. I want to see how things develop there first. So, the good old-fashioned wrestling really just, I don't know, I got excited by it. So I was like, this is damn good watching this match. And it made 30 minutes feel like 20 minutes. Highlighted all of their best features without having to pull out all the best stops. So what more can you ask for from a wrestling match other than having the emotion, having good wrestling, having a decent winner or decent outcome, and then building to a future storyline or future match? That's all you need to do. Those points, good wrestling, good story, build for the future, decent finish. That's all you need. That's all you need. And they really did that. You don't need 10,000 huge spots. You do not. And FTR are the kings of proving that. They really are. Now, onto a bit of the other show. The rest of the show. We saw Jericho appear on one Collision. I think it was a Collision. Didn't work on that show. Did not work on that show. We saw Swerve Strickland versus Tanahashi. Didn't work on that show. It didn't link with the other stuff. That felt like they were trying to put Dynamite with Collision. So I think they've really got to stick to splitting it up. I don't think the Elite will work on Collision at some point when that happens. I do not think it'll work. Just won't feel the same. It won't feel right. It'll feel like they are there when they shouldn't be there to start with. It's like the Elite in WWE. Will not feel right. We've seen some of the returns, which is another fantastic point of Collision. We've seen Miro come back. We've seen Scorpio Sky come back. We've seen Andrade. And that Andrade versus Buddy Matthews match on the first episode of Collision. Fantastic. Again, they had some spots, but they told a big story, which was the knee, I think, of Andrade, and I think Buddy also sold the knee. I can't remember, but either way, the storytelling, it's I don't know what it is about Collision, but I'm really enjoying it. Well, I do know what it is. I've said it several times, but I feel like I'm going over and over and over now. And that's not to say I don't enjoy Dynamite. I enjoy a lot of parts of Dynamite. I enjoy MJF, Adam Cole. I enjoy what else is there? I'm enjoying some of the Elite stuff lately, surprisingly. Not enjoying the BCC so much, but I'm enjoying Claudio within the BCC and maybe a little bit of Eddie Kingston. I'm not enjoying Chris Jericho. I am not enjoying anything Chris Jericho does. Not enjoying the stuff with Sting. I do not want to see Sting kill himself. I'm enjoying Darby Allin a lot, which is I never really got Darby Allin, but since about a year ago, I'm really starting to get Darby Allin. Don't even get me started on Orange Cassidy. If I see him on Collision, I will completely melt down. But that's just my point of discussion. I think Collision is the better show in the week. Obviously, it's not getting the ratings, but that's because it's on a Saturday night. And that was a mistake, I think, by Tony Khan and TNT, booking Collision on a Saturday night. Who thought that was a good idea to start with? People have lives. People are doing stuff. We've got so much wrestling to watch in a week. If you're a wrestling fan that watches many different platforms, there's so much to watch in a week. So much. So adding another show on a Saturday night when people want to kind of get away from wrestling, or when there's a potential WWE pay-per-view, doesn't really add up. It really doesn't. I would have preferred to have Collision compete with NXT. Put it on a Friday instead of Rampage. Okay, but we know that Friday slot is kind of terrible. Compete with Raw. Compete with something. Just not a Saturday. I like the feeling, the old school feeling. I like it. I don't think we would have got this old school vibe if it wasn't on a Saturday. Because that kind of is the point of the old school feel. Because old school wrestling used to be on a Saturday traditionally. So, don't know if we would have got it. I do see in the future Collision moving days. I don't see it staying on Saturdays for long. Because I think the wrestling in the show is that good. But the people aren't there to watch it. Not saying they don't want to watch it, but they're just not there to watch it. Anyways, guys, that's been my take on Collision versus Dynamite. Let me know what you think. Let me know which show you prefer. Put it down in the comments, AEW Dynamite or AEW Collision. Let me know, and then we'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Peace.